Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I thought we could do a chatty get ready with me slash full face of Chanel makeup because what else is better in life than doing a full face of Chanel? But before we go any further in today's video, please take a second to grab your iced coffee or your hot coffee. Let's have a sip and let's get started. So I wanted to do this type of video today because I've had a lot of new things going on in my life and I thought I could just like sit down and talk to you guys about it here. I've been going through a lot of stress, it's been very chaotic, and I thought what better way to take care of myself than by doing a full face of Chanel makeup. So first things first, as you guys can tell, this is a new space. My husband and I bought a condo, so we recently moved. I'm filming this on Wednesday and we moved last Friday. So it's been kind of crazy and hectic. I'm going to go ahead and use the Chanel Les 4 Ombres number 332 Noir Supreme. This is part of the fall collection. As always, I'm going to go ahead and write a full description box of all the makeup that I use, as well as all the makeup brushes that I use. So in the palette here, I'm going to go ahead and use the reddish color. It's like a berry plummy color. So yeah, I think that's like the biggest new thing is that my husband and I bought a condo, which is like super exciting, but also so much work. Oh my God. Buy property, they said. It would be fun, they said. I'm gonna go ahead and take this shade here and place it on the lid. So it's just like, you don't just like buy property. There's just so much work that goes into doing something like this. And we were at our apartment for, I think, 3 years. And we knew that we wanted to buy property at some point, but we thought it would be next year. But what happened was, the landlord sold the building and she sold to people who do Airbnb. And yeah, if you guys are not familiar with Airbnb, it's kind of like a hotel, but it's for your apartment or your house. Some people will rent a room in their home. It's really just like temporary leasing or renting. People usually just use it for the weekend when they travel. But the thing is that it's always, not always, but it's usually very short-term leases. And it is often people that come to the city because they want to party and they don't really care about the neighbors or the environment around them or anything. You know, they're just there to have a good time and then go back home Monday morning. So it really doesn't really make for a good environment for the people that live there permanently. So when we found out that our duplex was going to be owned by an Airbnb people, we knew that we had to leave. So it kind of like, we knew we wanted to buy a condo, but we just like had it accelerated a little bit by like a year basically, because we thought we would stay at the apartment for another year and then look for property next year. And then in the spring, like right after Christmas basically, we found out that the condo, or not the condo, but the apartment was owned by Airbnb. We were like, we gotta go. And luckily we had spent a few months before Christmas just like going to open houses just to see like what was in the neighborhood. We wanted to see just like ones that were down the block basically. And it was kind of just a good way to see what the market is like, see what's in our price range. So we had seen a few places, but honestly, we hadn't seen many that we liked. I think we saw one that we really liked. I think around February or March is when we got a realtor. So I contacted a real estate agent and we started looking at properties. But before we found this one, we had another one that was terrible. He just sent us like the most ridiculous list of listings, like different price ranges, different, like just like complete nonsense. He sent us a listing for a condo where there was only one bathroom and the bathtub was in the middle of the master bedroom, like in the middle of the bedroom. It was carpeted and then in the middle of that there was a bathtub. And we were like, no. If you like a bathtub in the middle of a carpeted room, I'm not trying to shame you. It just wasn't for us. I'm using the same color, but just a more narrow brush. And then I think we saw maybe 12 or maybe 15 places. And when I mean we saw, I mean we actually like physically went to visit, because I don't know what the market is like where you live, but here in Montreal, it is definitely a seller's market, I think, because there were multiple listings that we would see online, and by the time that we emailed our realtor and by the time we made an appointment to go visit it, someone had already made an offer to buy the place. It was just like properties have just been going that fast here in Montreal. And I guess it's good that there's so much development and there's so much construction, but it's just kind of crazy. So that was basically like all of spring. That was like February, March, April. And then I don't remember exactly when we found this one here, maybe in April or May. And it's just crazy how much goes into buying property. I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is my husband and I's first time being homeowners. We're first time homeowners. I mean, we're kind of still technically newlyweds. We've been married for 3 years. So like we're still like in that stage of life. And I just had no idea how much like time and energy buying a home was. Like it feels like having another job, honestly. The amount of time and energy you spent there's a little bit of fallout here, just managing everything. It's exhausting, honestly, and it feels never ending. And I mean, before you even find a place that you like, you have to figure out things like what's your budget, and there's so much involved into thinking about what's your budget, because like just the mortgage itself is not only the budget. Like what about moving costs? What about movers? What about packers? What about painting? What about, do you have to buy furniture? What about closing costs? What about school taxes? Like all of that also needs to be factored into your budget. So there's just much more than you think of, because you can think of like, oh yeah, I can afford X amount of house, but just because you can afford that much house doesn't mean you can afford everything else that comes with being a homeowner. What if something breaks? What if you need new appliances? What if you know, like blah, 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 blah. It's just so much. And then we were trying to figure out like exactly how much house we could afford, but also we didn't want to be stuck eating rice and beans for the next like 25 years, and we want to travel, and we want to maintain our lifestyle, but just like live in a nicer place. And then you think, do you want a fixed mortgage rate or do you want a variable mortgage rate? Like there's so much. I'm putting a little bit of this brown shade here in the crease, and so much of it is stressful for me because it's new. Like I deal with like a lot of anxiety, and especially when it's something new to me. Like I've never had to deal with a real estate agent before. I've never had to deal with a mortgage broker before. I've never had to deal with a notary before. You know, there's so many steps into buying a home. It just feels never ending. Like it doesn't matter how far into the process you are. There's always like one more hurdle, one more appointment, one more something. I'm going to switch into a different clean blending brush and go back into that cranberry shade and just add that more here. And I find like a lot of these steps are stressful because they're new. They're stressful because I don't know. I don't have any, what do you call it? I don't have a reference to say, oh, well, I've done this before, so I know like how it's done, or I know how to do this. I know how to like, you know, I find that sort of thing stressful. Like when you don't have a point of reference to know what's going to happen next, or no timelines. And it just feels like there's so many things that are up in the air, and it's hard to progress when there are so many things like just like out of your reach and your control, especially because sometimes they're just like different timelines. Like I had to hire painters, and I actually had a really hard time finding painters because we took possession of the condo in July, mid-July. And here in Montreal, there's something called the construction holiday, which is when all the construction workers in the city take 2 weeks off the beginning of August. And I didn't realize that painters also are part of the construction holiday. So I was calling dozens of places and none of them wanted to work. And they were only accepting work for late August, early September. And I was like, no, I don't want to be stuck in that crappy apartment one more weekend with Airbnb partying next door, or downstairs, I should say. But now that I've done it once, I have a point of reference. Now I know what's reasonable to expect in timeline and prices. You know, I have a bit more experience, so it, you know, makes it easier going forward. And I think these things are harder because most people, when they have these types of problems or situations, they can just like call on family to like ask like, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? But like, I don't really have that, unfortunately. Like, I didn't really grow up with a good family situation, so I don't really have people that I can rely on for that. And like, I'm not saying this as like a pity party to myself. I'm just saying it like to give you guys context about like my life. But my husband and I were able to figure it out, and now we have our condo and it's been painted and cleaned and all that. And I have to say that I found a moving company that also provided a packing service, like you could pay extra, and they came the day before the move and they packed up our whole house. If you can afford this luxury, honestly, I would 100% recommend it because it's quite astounding the amount of stuff you accumulate. I'm so happy that we're here now because it just feels like like the dust is settling finally. And it was just exhausting the last like few weeks before the move because we had things like painters, and we also hired a cleaning service to come in before we moved in. So we had to, you know, orchestrate getting to this condo middle of the day or bright and early in the morning. The painter always started at like 7 a.m. So being able to like let him in, and then just like on top of everything else, on top of, you know, actual life, on top of having a YouTube channel, and like, it's crazy because I was like doing all of these things and coming here and being like, yay, makeup. And then at the same time, like, what is it called? Like, there's an expression or something about, you know, when you see a duck on the water and they're just like gliding through the lake and then underneath their little legs are like paddling really fast. That was me. I'm just going to go into another quad. This one is called Candeur Experience, and I'm going to go into the lightest beige shade, and I'm just going to help blend this out here in the crease. And I'm very excited because in the next week or so, I'm going to go ahead and take myself to the spa to relax. I want to just have like the whole like princess treatment, like massage me from the tips of my hair to my toes, like just like relax me. Okay, let's go ahead and do the face makeup and then do the eyes after. I'm gonna go into my Chanel Les Beige Water Fresh Tint. I'm in the shade called 30. I'm gonna use this as like my base or primer basically. So even though this has been like very, very stressful and I don't wanna do this again for several more years, I know that I'm still extremely lucky and blessed and privileged to be able to own property at 31. That's not, you know, always normal or always the case. So I do feel very lucky, even though like I might have had disadvantages when I was younger and not having like a very stable or supportive family life. But at least, you know, I'm a grown up now and I can make the decisions that I want, and I'm making pretty good ones, so I'm pretty happy with myself. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use the Ultra Le Teint over top. This one is B30 as well. So for the concealer, I'm gonna go ahead and use my palette Essentielle. This is a number 160 beige medium. So back on the topic of mortgages, it was kind of ridiculous how hard it was. Like, we were pre-approved right away, but then to get the unconditional approval was a real pain in the butt, and I don't understand why. Like, it was just a question of them just like taking their sweet time to process things. Like, I think we needed the unconditional approval by like Friday at 6, and we got it at Friday at like 4 p.m. or something crazy. Like, it was just like, they were very casual about it, the bank, and I don't understand because they had already pre-approved us and they're clearly going to make a lot of money off of us with interest. So I'm like, why aren't you more eager to do this? But I think for the past several months, basically since February, all I've talked about with my friends is moving and house hunting and all that. So for the past few months, whenever Angela Van Rose or Michelle Wong, whenever we've talked and they're like, how's it going? I'm like, mortgages are dumb. That's all I've had to say. And so I'm glad that I can at least have something different to offer my friends now. And I'm really happy we went with a condo for our first home in a way, because like honestly, Dave and I, my husband, we know nothing about like anything related to houses. Like we fully intend on just throwing money at problems like we did when we hired painters, we hired a cleaning lady, we hired packers, we hired movers. Like our solution is to throw money at the problem. So whenever something breaks here, hopefully YouTube offers home repair tips, or we might just hire someone. But I guess it's good to start with like something small and not like, you know, bite off more than you can chew right away. I find that with the concealers in the palette Essentielle, I get the best results when I just tap it with my finger. I've tried it with a sponge and with a brush as well, but I find that I get more control over the product this way. And I think I screwed up a little bit of the eyeshadow here. I'll fix that after. So I'm gonna go ahead and set my face with the Beige Healthy Glow Powder number 20. I think the 20 is basically just like my setting powder shade. So I think that's basically been the main thing going on in my life. Just like this move, it's so much, it's just like a lot. But again, I am so very happy and grateful to be in this beautiful condo. It's brand new, like the construction, I think it was built in 2017. So it's literally brand new. Everything is new, the walls, the floors, the windows, the countertops, the tiles, everything is new and beautiful. Our apartment was literally 100 years old. It was built in 1920 something. So, and apparently a lot of the hardwood floors were original. So if you walked anywhere in the apartment, you could hear it because it just cracked and creaked. And I know that there's something about having older homes because they have a lot of character, but sometimes they have too much character, okay? Like I don't want to have, you know, like all the electricity and the plumbing was shoddy and backwards, literally. Like the light switches turned off and on backwards because the previous landlord decided to renovate themselves, which went, you know, how would, like, imagine how that would go. So yeah, and this place here is the opposite of that. Everything is new and fresh and clean and beautiful. And like one of the things that bothered me the most about our old place is that since it was so old, it didn't really matter how much you scrubbed the kitchen floor or the bathroom tile. It always looked kind of dirty because it was 100 years old. So like how much can you scrub before it looks clean? Whereas this place, it's pretty fresh. I'm gonna go into my Beige Healthy Glow Powder in number 50, and this is gonna be my bronzing contour. And yeah, I think there's something to be said about like buying a property in your budget, because for us, we just wanted like a lifestyle upgrade. We just wanted a nicer house to live in, but we wanna keep our lifestyle. We wanna be able to travel. We want to be able to, you know, eat out, not be stuck eating rice and beans for 20 years, because I never heard the expression before, but there's something called house poor, which is where when you spend all of your money on your mortgage and then you don't have money for anything else. I'm like, I need money for, you know, Chanel makeup for this channel. So I'm glad we stayed within our budget for that. Because it was funny, at first we were looking online, like before we even looked at buying, we were looking at different mortgage calculators online, and a lot of those mortgage calculators they kind of assume that you are willing to spend every single cent that you make on your mortgage. I'm like, what about things like food or clothing or gas money, you know, things like that. And then for the blush, I'm going to go into my Chanel Joues Constrast number 80. This is called Jersey. I really like this one. It's quite old. I really hope that Chanel comes out with a bunch of new blushes soon. I feel like they haven't really come out with a lot of new ones in a while. Like maybe one or two with like different collections, but I would honestly love to just see like a whole new like range of blushes from Chanel, like the classic powder ones, or I thought that they would come out with more of the cream stick ones from the Beige. I don't know. I just think that Chanel does blushes so well. So other than that, the house thing has been like the biggest thing on my mind, obviously, because there's just like so much. But other than that, my health has been pretty okay. I have Crohn's disease, which is an inflammatory bowel disorder, which sounds as unpleasant as you can imagine. And I had to go to my regular checkup last week, on Monday actually. And some of the tests came back irregular. So I had to go this morning and do some more tests, which sucks. So hopefully that is fine. Knock on wood. If I don't hear anything from them, that means that like the test came back regular. I think because like I only go see my specialist once a year. So he wanted to like redo the work just to see if there was a blip that week, if it's because of like stress or whatever. And yeah, so hopefully that's all good. Okay, using a small tapered brush from before, I'm gonna go into that reddish shade and I'm gonna go ahead and drag this under the bottom lashes here. But other than that, life is pretty good. Ballet is going very well. I don't know if you guys know this, but I do ballet. I had a recital in the spring. It went really well. I've been taking the classes in the summer session and I'm moving up a level in September. I was gonna say February, no, in September, there's a new session starting and I'm gonna move up level, which is exciting, but also I know what's in store because whenever I move up a level, I go from being like one of the best in the class to being the worst in the class, which, you know, it's like growing pains of moving up. I'm gonna go into the Stylo Yeux number 928 Eros. I'm gonna go ahead and use this in the waterline. And then for the mascara, I'm gonna go with this one here. This is the Volume Revolution number 27. This one matches Eros and it also matches my eyeshadow. It's kind of like a plummy purple burgundy mascara. And then for the lip, I'm gonna go something a bit more nude. I'm gonna go into my Rouge Coco Flash number 82, Live or Live. And yeah, this is like one of my favorite lipsticks ever. All right, I think this is the finished look for today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hope you guys got some inspiration on how to use your products at home. Also, let me know what you guys think of the background in today's video. I kind of just threw this together here. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do for the rest of the videos, but if you have recommendations or suggestions for things you'd like to see, leave a comment down below. Feel free to leave a comment down below letting me know what you think of today's video. And if you happen to enjoy today's video, might I suggest you subscribe to my channel and stick around because I post a lot of luxury makeup reviews and tutorials, mostly Chanel, but a lot of other brands as well. I think this is all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I hope you guys have a beautiful day and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.